Seems like the city of Portland has been plagued with police officers that are actually gangster types that don't adhere to the laws, don't care about anybody's rights. When they come to see you, they come belligerently. They have no decorum about what they do. I have to block out this light here because I'm in my car. And they just don't care about people. They got the job, they got the pension, all that going on for themselves. So what they do is they just try to make it through their term being a cop. They really don't. They're not really not interested in justice or peace or keeping the peace or anything like that, because you can tell when they come to see you, they come with attitudes, especially if they know you and if they have an opinion about you, because of the kind of thing that you do. I've been doing this for like since 1980, 1993. I started out with a big VHS camera, and I couldn't even use that in a courtroom. Even they wouldn't let me use the footage in the courtroom as evidence. They shut me down. They just did everything they could to keep me from recording the cops, including try to prosecute me for 6 months for recording a cop uh, when I was making a 911 call. I was recording the 911 call, and they were trying to say that I was interfering with privileged communications law. No such law for me. That's completely a whole. They just used whatever law they thought they could to get away with it, and they tried to prosecute me and my son for 6 months. And this is after Officer Dakin had brutalized us and put us in jail way out there in southeast or in northeast, where they have a police precinct over there that's shut down. They put us in jail out there and held us for hours, and then let us go. And they made charges on us that were just totally stupid, charges. In any event, these are cops that they're just gangsters. They have a gangster mentality. They don't care about your rights, and that's who comes to see us a lot. And you can tell by the videos of the cops that I talk to, or will talk to and will not talk to, okay, are the ones that I recognize as antagonists. Um, for instance, let me just give you for instance here. In August, um, or somewhere around there, I'll have to check the date, me and my son, August 18th, I believe it was, we were sleeping in the next to the park. We weren't in the park, we were next to it, across the street from it. And some deputy sheriff that was out of uniform came and brutalized me, knocked me down to the ground, kicked me in my groin, and then pushed my son down when my son stood up to speak to him. And so my son beat the living crap out of this guy, this out of uniform deputy sheriff. I think he broke his nose and his eye sockets or something, but he severely plastered this guy. Okay. Now, then this gas station thing happened, okay, where we go in to get some gas, and the lady uses an excuse not to give me any. Well, in Oregon, you can't refuse a disabled person gas. You have to pump gas for them. And when I tried to tell her that, they made a big issue out of it, blah, blah, blah. In any event, this woman who had nothing to do with the gas station at all, she was in a car getting gas. She gets out of her car after having a little short argument with me. She was interfering in what I was saying about the lady could not refuse to pump my gas. And she cussed at me and said some foul things to me, and I said some foul things back to her. And she got up out of her car, and I'm sitting in my wheelchair behind her vehicle, about 5-6 feet away from her vehicle. I backed up, and she goes around the front end of her car out into the back door of the passenger side, and brings out a big stick. I mean, this thing was, whoa, big. and it had a handle thing on it, just like the cops see, okay? And she came at me with that stick over her head and was going to strike me with it when my son came running at her and grabbed the stick and twisted it behind her back. And in the process, one of his rings that was on his finger scraped the top of her head. Now, he got arrested for that. Huh? And it was because of a cop who, check this out now, came to the scene and took this away from the first arriving officer, took it away from him, and did the investigation himself. And here's how he was acting. In his reports, he says about my son constantly, Norman, Norman. He doesn't say Mr. Wicks or the suspect. He says Norman, Norman this, Norman that, and Norman did this, and then Norman did that. Now, I think you know what that is, okay? That's not regular police speak right there. That's endearment kind of shit, okay? Thank you, Norman. Just got my oatmeal here, folks. Just nice oatmeal, yeah. Anyways, this guy slanted this affair into something that he could use to arrest Norman with for protecting me from being struck. I mean, come on, folks. Who's supposed to get arrested here? The person that's getting ready to strike a 79-year-old man who's a disabled senior sitting in a wheelchair? Or my caretaker who saved me from getting hit by this woman? Isn't this some backwards crap? And now they've been trying to prosecute my son ever since. I think it was like July or June or some month like that. They've been trying to prosecute him ever since for that. Him, trying to prosecute him, not the woman that was recklessly endangering me and threatening me to do me bodily harm. Come on, folks, that's Portland, Oregon for you. Nothing these people do in the justice system makes any sense. They have this nice, soothing music as you go into the courtroom, and they have this mechanical voice that's talking to you in slow monotones about how justice is going to work for you. Today we are going to treat you blah, blah, blah. You will see this and that and all these lovely things that are going to take place, blah, blah, blah. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's frosted shit is what it is. Chocolate covered crap. That's how they do here. They sugarcoat everything. And really under the surface, it's evil. It's all very evil to prosecute a young man who is saving his father from being hit over the head with a big stick. Come on, folks, you know what that is. Backwards justice. Just because we have a lawsuit in U.S. District Court against the city. Okay, this is how they're acting. And they'll do anything to try and criminalize us, including send people to us. Yesterday, let me tell you what happened. Was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday. This beautiful young woman was walking down the street in the rain with a blanket over her head, looking sad. And my son pointed her out to me, and I called to her, and I said, "Hey, are you homeless?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, geez, girl," I said, "come around here and sit down in the car here and get dry. We'll get you dry and get you some dry clothes." So she came into the car and sat next to me here. And after a while, she just kind of laid over in my lap and just went right off to sleep. She slept in my lap for like 4, maybe 5 hours. And I just put my arm over her and just, she was waking up occasionally and having these little fits that I imagined probably were something she was dreaming about, like somebody was bothering her in her sleep or something like that, because she was very, very sensitive to anything, you know. So I let her sleep. You know, I didn't, You know, that's not my style. I would not take advantage of a. She was really gorgeous. I mean, as I was watching her sleep, I wondered to myself, and I even asked her, "Why are you in this position that you're in?" I told her, I said, "You're very beautiful." I said, "You're just about every man's dream of a beautiful young woman to be with." And I said, "Why are you like this? What's going on with you?" Of course, it was drugs. I knew it already that it was drugs. I spilled some cereal in my lap here. And I really felt bad for her because while she's sleeping, I'm looking down at the curve of her eyelashes and her eyebrows and the tone of her skin, how smooth her skin was, and her hairline. And I'm looking at her saying to myself, how does a person who has a good station in life, beauty is very important in life, you know, it means a lot. And I'm asking myself, how in the world would anybody want to be addicted to drugs and have, I mean, she already had a daughter that was 15 months old. And she was absolutely stunningly beautiful. For her to be traipsing up and down the street chasing drugs. Somebody's daughter. Somebody's beautiful little daughter. It's all about gangsterism, folks. The country is being run by gangsters. Gangsters have the homeless money. Gangsters have the justice system. What they're doing is gangsterism. Okay? This isn't justice what they're doing to me and my son. Oh, no, no, no. They let people out of jail. They dismiss charges for a whole lot worse than harassment. Yeah. They're charging him now with harassment and not assault, because he didn't assault anybody. They can't even prove that he did. All they got is people, this cop, what he did is he went around to people and he put words into their mouths and got them to say things that didn't even happen. And the thing about it, folks, is there's film of this incident. And the film shows my son not even anywhere near me. I'm out there where the woman is at the gas pump. He's way the hell at the other gas pump, way behind. And he's watching what's going on. And 3 times he tried to come forward, according to the video. 3 times he tried to come forward to where I was standing. And 3 times I told him to go back. Okay, that shows in the film. Okay, and there's other film too, because these witnesses are absolutely saying that my son, after he took the stick away from her, which he didn't do, the stick never left her hands, he hit her in the face and knocked her down to the ground. Didn't happen. My son wouldn't do that. He would never strike a woman. I would, but he wouldn't. Okay? And I have in the past, and I got the woman arrested because she struck me first. So the cops arrested her. Now, you have a right, if a woman wants to bend to the disgraceful behavior of hitting you, if that's her way of dealing with things, then you should hit her back. Especially if you don't hit her as a way of dealing with things. Okay? And vice versa. It works both ways. People should not be dealing with shit that way. If they can't handle it, get out. Anyways, that's what's going on here, folks, okay? We are being visited. And the girl that I'm telling you about, I don't know what to think of it. Because she was a very, very enticing woman. I mean, she didn't entice me in any way, but the fact that she was so beautiful, so sweet and young and lovely, I could just say to myself, I said, Jesus, why would this girl jeopardize herself like this? Here she's sitting in my car because she does drugs. And she wound up sitting in my car without any regard. That's dangerous behavior. Very dangerous behavior. And that's what's going on in this city. They're not trying to do anything about the drug problem. They like the drug problem here, just like they like the homeless problem here. This is all gangsterism, okay? Yeah, gangsterism. They like the crime. They like the drugs. All the youngsters running around selling their bodies, they love every bit of that bullshit. That's what they want for this country. A bunch of degenerate crap going on, where your daughters and your sons are going to be treated like meat. Yeah, like they're a hunk of meat. I'm 79, folks. I ain't got much time left. I'm sure of that. Well, even though I'm healthy otherwise, okay, my health is okay, except for the diabetes, but I'm handling it. We're using home remedy on it, and it's working. So far, it's working. I have to keep checking. But I know what the signs are, and I don't have any of them. So I haven't taken any diabetes drugs for a while. And it hasn't affected me because I am also taking sugar with it, with my food. I'm eating sugar, but I'm using cinnamon. I have cinnamon in my tea every morning and in my cereal. And the cinnamon takes care of the type of diabetes I have. The type of diabetes I have is my blood will not accept the sugar into it to take it to my brain for food. Okay, because that's what it is. So the cinnamon tricks the blood cells into accepting the sugar. It's kind of reverse of the other one. So I have to have enough sugar in my body in order to feed my brain through my blood cells. And the cinnamon is what helps it to happen. It also controls the insulin. So far I haven't had any bad results, even though I haven't seen a doctor or taken any metformin in about 3 months now. I haven't taken any. And the cinnamon seems to be working. I don't know if it works for all the types of diabetes, but it works for mine. And so far it has. Anyway, folks, the homeless problem in this city works hand in hand with the Justice Department and how they use the money. It's all interlocked together. All of this government money and the taxpayers' money and all that, it's all locked up together in various different spending modes that it's in. And as long as they keep it floating and saying, well, we have this money, we have $159 homeless fund here. What are they doing? They had that much money before. They had that a year ago. And they still have it. And they haven't put not one person into housing. With all that money they have, $159 million, they could build me a little small house overnight practically. Yeah. And how many thousands of dollars would it take to build a small little cottage? Huh? And if they did that, and just did it, and did it, and did it, and did it, and did it, everything's been a lie up to now. All of it. The triage, $10,000 to a company to do triage on all the homeless people, and find out who they are and what their needs are and blah, blah, blah. It's all gaslighting. They're just psycho babbling is what they're doing. And they're using psychology and lies It's called gaslighting. Psychology and lies and fabrications. That's all it is. That's why the streets are homeless. The homeless people on the streets they're not going to go away because they don't have a policy that helps the situation go away. There is no policy in place that says, here's an old lady right here who's desperately in need of some housing. She's cold, she's wet, she's a senior citizen, and she's medically needy. Why is she living on the streets when they have $159 million in their kitty? Why aren't they? Well, yeah, New York City. You hear what's happening in New York City with all the immigrants in those $500 a night hotels and motels, huh? And the city's paying for thousands of these people to live there like that. And they've trashed every single one of these hotels and motels, filled it full of fast food that they don't want and don't like. They threw it on the floors, in the hallways. There's garbage everywhere in these luxury hotels. And you won't hear that on the news because they don't want you to. You have to go to another country to hear it. Literally, Australian news or from Bangladesh or something. But they report on the American news where the American news industry does not. So you're not going to hear this. They don't want you to know what's going on. They don't want you to know that there are really desperate, sick, elderly people living on the streets. And they have no priorities. It doesn't matter if you're sick and disabled and elderly. They don't care. That's why I'm living on the street. And thank God my son is taking care of me. Because they would just let me die here. That's the truth, folks. They would, and they've tried to already. A hospital actually threw me out on the street naked recently. In my condition, naked. A wheelchair-bound person. They just drugged me out there. Yeah, Legacy Good Samaritan Hospital did that to me. Outrageous. And then stuck me in a hotel with drug users and drug addicts. And it had bunk beds in this room. It was full of roaches. There was no mattresses, nothing. That was what they gave me to live in rather than put me out on the street. There was no mattresses. There was nothing. It was over in southeast or northeast, San Rafael, I think, name of the place. Gangsterism. That's what this stuff is. The nerve of this organization, this hospital, to do that to me. I was 77, I was 78 at the time. Yeah, stripped me of my clothes and drugged me out onto the sidewalk in February. That's why I'm so angry. If anybody wants to know why I'm so angry, look at what they do to me. Just because I do cop videos. But you know what? That's not going to make me stop. I haven't stopped in all these years, and they've done lots of shit to me. A whole lot. Took my vehicles and crunched them up. You know, just how many? I can't even count them anymore. Okay? Took my equipment. You know, they just took my equipment in February last year. All of my cameras, my computers, everything. Just stripped me of everything that I owned and left me in 28-degree weather in February. This is Portland police that did this now, mind you. And they knew what my situation was, and they still know. And when they come, they always send an asshole. Instead of sending a nice cop that I can talk to, they send an accusatory, arrogant, snide, pompous, punk cop. Okay? Like the one I call the crackhead beanie cop. That motherfucker, somebody needs to give him a good lesson in how to treat the public. without his gun and his badge on him. Because he thinks he's hot shit just because of that badge. He's arrogant. But he's scared shitless of my son. He is. He's scared shitless of him, and he tries to provoke him all the time, even though he's scared shitless of him. My son will punch him once and take his nose to the back of his head. But he's not a violent person. But that's what would happen to him in the real world. So Portland police in particular, stop sending assholes to come and see me when I'm having a bad day. Because it's not a crime to have a bad day. Stop sending assholes. Send people who have sense. And then I'll talk to them like I've got some sense. But that's my message to you. Quit being provocative. Quit trying to provoke us. Leave us the hell alone. We're not bothering anybody. We don't break any laws. We stay within the law always. Thank you for listening, YouTube. Maybe these videos will be, who knows, a catalyst of some sort. Bye-bye.